Hey loves, it's your girls Mariah Sincere, and I'm back with another bomb live. If you were here waiting, I apologize for my tardiness, delayed but on the way. With that said, for those of y'all who do not know me, I'm a self-love coach who specializes in helping people radically transform their lives. I transform mine. I've lost over 30 pounds now. I'm traveling, moving abroad, doing what I love. If you want to follow my journey, follow me on TikTok. I'm here in Peru. I also give social and political commentary, which is probably why most of y'all are here. Let me say this, okay? Black people, my Black people, we are not beating the allegations. And I don't have to spell out the allegations. You already know what the allegations are, okay? So for those of y'all who do not know, um, I did I in Chicago. I was in Chicago and I conducted a major raid in the South Shore complex. So this happened Tuesday last week. Now, I hadn't heard about this, and I wonder why I kept seeing like there were Black people, Black women on the internet. It's always us lying. I'm sorry, it is. But there were Black women on the internet. Like one lady, she acted like she was acting like she was giving beauty tips or something, and she had all these cards where it was like ICE is arresting Black people in Chicago, and I was like, that has to be a lie. That absolutely has to be a lie. And that has been one of the main tools of propaganda, even before Donald Trump got in office. They were saying things like he was deporting Black people during his first administration, or he was deporting legal immigrants. And let's be clear, if you're conducting realistically, if you are conducting large scale deportations, no matter what administration it is, because we know Obama deported more people than Donald Trump, okay? You're gonna get, there's like, you can't be 100% perfect. There are gonna be times where you do get it wrong, right? Does that mean that you just don't deport people at all? Like, does that mean that you just don't do it at all? Because you might get a couple of cases or you might get a couple of things wrong. We should just not do it at all. That makes absolutely no sense. So I already knew when I first heard of it, I didn't even know about the Chicago raid, but my brain began working and I'm like, oh, they must have been conducting some type of operation in the area, or they must have been, somebody must have looked like somebody, so they detained them for questioning, which, guys, that's normal. Anytime that police get involved in a situation and they're trying to sort things out and figure out who is who, it is normal for them to detain people. There is a difference between being detained and taken into custody. A lot of the times the police will detain people for safety reasons, right? First of all, they want to make sure nobody flees the scene. So, hey, what's up, Jamal? They want to make sure that nobody flees the scene so that they can figure out who is who and gather all the information. And second, they want to be able to keep themselves safe. And for those of y'all who think that's not important, I really don't care. I have a cousin that is a police officer. I have a Black cousin. He's the only law enforcement officer in our family. And I remember a lot of people made jokes about him when he decided he wanted to be the police. But honestly and truly, he works for DPD. That's a pretty cool law enforcement, if you ask me. I like DPD. They help more than they do arrest, in my opinion. And at the end of the day, that was the job that was paying him so that he could provide his family. And for us to act like people shouldn't go work for ICE or the police department is crazy. It's insane. That's the talking points that liberals use. They act like, no babies for today. No. They act like ICE shouldn't, or police officers don't deserve to be protected because they're traitors. And I'm like, for those of y'all who think like that, honestly, I would like for you to go pack up and move to a country where there is no law enforcement. Please go do that. Please, and then see if you feel the same way. Please pack your things. There are plenty of countries that have unresponsive law enforcement. There are plenty of countries where they let criminals run amok without doing anything. And you can go there and all kind of things can happen to you. You can get robbed, you can get unalived, you can get human trafficked. And if you want to make excuses for it and blame it on poverty or whatever the case may be, you go over there and do that. You go over there and do that. You don't hinder the American people when we say over here, we don't want to live like that. Okay? We don't. And for those of y'all who don't know, I'm an American who has been, right now I'm in Peru, but I have been living in Colombia for the past years. And there's a saying in Colombia, no dar papaya. What does that mean? Don't give people a reason. See, in the United States, when criminals commit crimes, we can blame the criminals. Why? Because we expect law enforcement to do something about it. And we have a very high trust society, meaning that people are supposed to know that they're not supposed to engage in certain type of behaviors. And depending on the situation, unless it's a sex crime, 9 times out of 10, we are going to blame the perpetrator of the crime, right? In countries like Colombia, where in most areas the police are non-responsive and they're outgunned by the criminals, let's be clear, there's Tren de Aragua in Colombia. They have taken over whole apartment complexes in many countries in South America. Okay, in those countries, they understand that the police aren't coming to do anything, so they try to secure their own valuables. They put multiple locks on their door. They will literally sacrifice safety from their house being burnt down in a fire for them to be able to like lock their door. For example, in Colombia, doors will have multiple locks on them. Matter of fact, if you walk out of a door in Colombia, if you don't have your keys, you will be locked out of your house or apartment because they automatically lock behind you. You don't manually lock doors over there. Do you understand? So it's like American people, again, speak from a place of being pampered, being protective, and being able to have the luxury of being ideologues and push this type of rhetoric and this have these ideas of a utopian society that just honestly and truly doesn't exist. It's never going to exist. And you're in the best place that you could have been, not anymore, for safety. And now it's all gone to hell in a handbasket. And we have a president trying to fix that. And you have liberals blocking that every step of the way. ICE is being ruthless in Chicago, as they should. As they should. Chicago has a big problem, okay? Again, I do not care. I do not care. Let me say this, and we're going to talk about this. I'm going to give my opinion. So I saw the reports. The situation was they were conducting an ICE operation in this apartment complex, and they zip-tied children and brought them outside. And to that, what is the problem? Did they beat the children? Were the children great? No, you have to understand when you are going into an enclosed apartment complex, you need to be able to secure every block, because not only are you going in there to get trained, like you're going in there to get gang members that have guns because they don't care about the law. And y'all can say, okay, well, yeah, but they didn't have to detain the children. Yes, they do. Because how stuff like that works is you don't know if those gang members recruited any of those children. Do y'all remember during Vietnam where they would send children into the encampments of U.S. soldiers with bombs? So here's the thing. ICE is trained for those type of situations. The average American citizen, who that is not your job, you're not trained for that type of situation. So you think you can just walk up into a building with gang members and bring them out, and you feel like you can trust everybody around you. And that's not how that goes. So these police officers, mind you, they're of many races, black, brown. These police officers, these ICE officers, they are somebody's family member that's trying to make it home that night. And regardless of whether or not you like their job, it is a job that must be done. And they put a lot of time, effort, and resources into those operations. So you damn straight, they have every right to zip tie, detain every person in that building until they can sort things out. Did they die? mean, we are so soft in the United States. Like y'all concept of military operations, ICE raids, safety, it just blows my mind how y'all think this is sweet. These people are considering all scenarios. So when I see, oh, they detain children, they let them go. They let them go. But they had a mission to do. And anybody who was possibly be in the way, possibly get harmed, or possibly cause harm to them had to be detained. That is how this goes. That is how I don't know what y'all think goes on. Hey, what's up, Will's Tumbling? I don't know what y'all think goes on when we are conducting these type of operations overseas. And I don't think why y'all think that because we're conducting them on American soil that the rules don't apply when people are people everywhere. Danger is danger everywhere. And some of y'all might say that I'm being insensitive to that because I've never been in those shoes when actually I have. When I was 15 years old, I swear before God, and I'm willing to bring all parties involved up here to verify what I'm saying. When I was 15 years old, I was detained by Dallas SWAT. 15 years old. Y'all want to know what happened? I was in foster care. We were one of my foster sisters was having a breakdown of sorts. She decided she didn't want to be in the foster home anymore. The foster parent stopped at a red light. She jumped out the car. Mind you, it's a big old like white truck. You know, you could almost say it looked like a van. So we went to go get her. So you have a group of Black girls jumping out the car, chasing after an Asian girl, a little bitty Asian girl on the side of the freeway. The optics looks bad. So people did what they were supposed to do, and they called DPD on us. And we just started noticing all of these cars following us for miles, police cars, just one after one. Then we see a helicopter, everything. So we like, oh my gosh, they're coming. We surrounded, right? And, you know, they pulled us over and they were like, get out the car. Everybody get on the ground. They held us all at gunpoint. My foster parent and the rest of us were minors, foster kids, right? They had the helicopters. They had, you know, their automatic, all of that pointed at us, right? And it was so crazy because the girl who tried to run away, she was having kind of like a mental episode. So she's laying right by me and they're like, nobody move, nobody move. And she was like, I'm moving. By me, I'm moving. And I was like, if you get off here, I'm going to kill you, right? So guess what? We had to stay on that ground and wait for them to sort it out while my foster parent explained, no, we did not kidnap this girl. She is in my custody because she's a foster kid. I have paperwork on me. Like it took, and then they apologized. But guess what? They did what they were supposed to do. And we could have been like, oh, they're wrong, racial profiling. No, these people had a job to do, period. Somebody call and say somebody being kidnapped. Everybody got to get detained until we figure this out. That is normal standard procedure. So no, nobody can accuse me of not being empathetic because it didn't happen to me. Something like that happened to me when I was a kid, baby. All of Dallas SWAT was on us, like white on rice. They stood on business for the Asian girl. They sure did. They sure did. But y'all have to understand that this happened all in broad daylight. A lot of people saw what happened. It looked like an active kidnapping. I understand. It looked bad. Okay. CPD would have blamed that girl though. I don't know. She didn't get in trouble though, because that's another thing. When you're a foster kid, people be feeling bad for you, so they let you get away with certain things. Anyway, so I'm gonna share my screen of a conversation that took place on CNN. We're gonna go to Anton Daniels' channel. Shout out to Anton Daniels. He doing his thing. I don't always agree with him, but like I say most of the things I agree with him on. I say most of the things. One second. Guys, if y'all are just now coming in, please hit the like button. So this is a video of Scott Jennings. If y'all don't know who that is, he is on CNN and he works on there with Abby Phillips. And I feel so bad for my boy Scott because most of the time he's the only voice of reason. He is surrounded by buffoons. He is surrounded by buffoons. I don't know no other way to put it. Here's my whole thing too. Because y'all will see, this is going to be Black people who are upset about what happened during these ICE raids. Again, if y'all don't know who Trinidad Aragua is and how they operate, again, they're operating in South America. They're in countries like Colombia. They're in Medellin. They're in the city that I'm in. I just don't live in those neighborhoods. They are a cancer and a terror to the community. Okay, they deal in drug trafficking, human trafficking, rape, organ selling. So, in my opinion, you have to be really slow if you weigh the risk of, should we go get them out of these apartments with all of these civilians, or should we not zip tie these kids and allow them to possibly get away, hurt people in the process, or should we just not go in at all? You are just unaware, out of touch, or extremely stupid if you have to weigh those two options and you're too soft, because that's what it comes down to. You're too soft and tender to say, I'd rather zip tie these kids and all these people, whoever we need to zip tie to secure this building so we can get these folks up out of here. You just don't understand the consequences of not doing such. Point blank, period. So I feel like Black people have been in Chicago going in on Mayor Brandon Johnson about the high crime rates, them moving in all these illegal immigrants, all the money and the funds. He was literally trying to raise property taxes in Chicago because he took a whole bunch of funds and diverted them to the care of illegal immigrants. And then he said he wasn't going to raise property taxes. Then after he spent all that money up on illegal immigrants, came back and tried to tell the citizens there that we're going to raise your property taxes. No, sir. You know, if you were going to use all that money, you might as well have used it to help the people in the Black communities that were already there that needed it. Instead, he spent up all the money on illegal immigrants and he didn't give a damn. For the past 2 years now, they've been raising hell in those town hall meetings and he never cared, not one time. He'd be stone-faced when they be talking. So I don't understand what's going on with my people.
Go to Artlist and start generating cinematic videos now with Field 3.
So as forewarned, I mean, we have a situation in which American cities are at the center of this ICE crackdown, and there's indiscriminate use of force against Americans, non-Americans, people here legally, people here illegally. And
pause, I want to address this. This as forewarned. What she's talking about is the fact that Democrats have been saying they're going to come into your cities and they're going to detain people. Yes, ICE is not an agency that deals in foreign affairs. It is a domestic agency. It's a domestic agency that is tasked with domestically removing illegal immigrants and sending them back home. So yes, they conduct operations on U.S. soil. You know, these type of people feel like illegal immigrants should be allowed the option to choose whether or not they're going to self-deport, and they just show up to an ICE office and then like get deported. And they feel like ICE should not have any authority or jurisdiction to go get them out in public places. Their whole thing is, you know, do it the right way. Well, y'all get upset when they do it at court. Y'all get upset when they detain them at work. Y'all get upset when they detain them at public places. Where are you allowed to detain illegal immigrants in the United States? without liberals getting upset. The fact of the matter is, y'all don't want them to deport illegal immigrants. You don't care about what happened. You don't care about the history. You don't care about the illegal immigrants' past. You don't care about what they've done. They're innocent just off of the strength that they're an illegal immigrant. Never mind the fact that they made the conscious decision to enter a country illegally and stay or overstay their visa, whatever the case might have been. And I'm saying this as somebody who goes to other countries and I have to deal with immigration and they tell me you have such and such time to be here and then you have to be, I have to follow these people's laws, is what I'm trying to say. I don't know why y'all think that should be different for people who are not United States citizens. I don't know. So yes, Abby, they are going to neighborhoods in the United States and conducting ICE raids. Where else did you think they would be doing it? Furthermore, it's not indiscriminate. They were tasked with an operation at this particular apartment complex. And unless you've been in law enforcement and you've had to conduct that type of operation yourself, all of your virtue signaling and what is and is not morally correct, all of that doesn't apply during real-time operation. So it wasn't indiscriminate. It wasn't a random apartment complex. And yeah, they were detaining U.S. citizens. Because guess what? You can't look at a person and tell whether or not they're legal or illegal immigrant when you come into a place. So yes, they had to detain United States citizens. They let them go. What's the problem? Mainstream liberal Black people and Democrat Party establishment and the white ends all live on their own planets. They do. Do you think CNN is showing their ASS with this host here as opposed to the past where a white host or hostess who can pass as nonpartisan? I mean, they might be. It makes for good TV, but honestly, you have to put somebody on the other side because everybody else is so liberal minded that you can't even put somebody nonpartisan in with them because it's not going to balance out. The same happening in UE. It's like an international force controlling these people. Yeah, they're talking about what Trinidad Arago. Yeah, they're international. They're international. Yes, absolutely.
On the right, nobody seems to care. In fact, they love it.
I saw a video from a local station in Chicago, and residents of a community there were describing an ICE raid and like what they saw. Two things struck me. One, they were talking about things that happened to them. They were talking about how they were treated in this ICE raid. These are the people that I guess by virtue of being born here in America are entitled to being treated like human beings. The second thing is that they were all Black. And I'm going to say something. We saw this coming. We knew the neighborhoods where these ICE raids would take place. We knew that a lot of these things.
Sir, the ICE raids are taking place in Black neighborhoods because the liberals didn't move the illegal migrants into the upper class white neighborhoods. Absolutely not. They strategically placed them in Black neighborhoods and poor Hispanic neighborhoods where people are already struggling and fighting for resources. So yeah, absolutely. They're going to have to go into Black neighborhoods now because Black leadership and liberal leadership allowed illegal immigrants to settle into these neighborhoods. So yes, you're going to see that more than anything. So just mentally prepare for that. Mentally prepare for that. No, they're not in Highland Park. They're not in Lakewood. They're not in white suburban areas. They're not there, you know. What are we talking about?
Wouldn't happen in Beverly Hills or in Coconut Grove or any.
You're right, sir. It wouldn't happen in Beverly Hills because the illegal migrants don't live in Beverly Hills. They don't. Furthermore, I forgot what neighborhood that was, but I was doing a YouTube live, and they actually did go into a very rich neighborhood where they found some. I think they were like Middle Eastern illegal immigrants who had like these big mansions and houses. So we cherry pick, or we pick and choose, and we don't pay attention to what's going on. You don't know where ICE is going, right? You only see what hits mainstream news media, and then you only pay attention to the news media that is intent on race baiting. Let's continue.
Those places like that. We knew that there would be collateral damage, that there would be trauma that would be inflicted on our communities. We knew that people would be detained, scared. We knew that children.
Americans are so weak. Trauma, I don't know, maybe it's me. Maybe I've just been through too much in life. Do you want to know what is traumatic? You want to talk about trauma? Trauma is getting gang raped. Getting gang raped by a group of men who are in the country illegally. Trauma is like what happened in Aurora, Colorado. Trauma is sitting in your house, in your neighborhood where you pay rent, sitting in your apartment and having a gang of men with AK-47s bust down your door and then proceed to take over your entire apartment complex. That's traumatic. Traumatic is being kidnapped and having your organs taken out of your body to be sold on the black market. Shall I continue? Being detained by the police and let go? That is not trauma. It's an experience. It's a hell of a story to tell. I have the same story to tell. I wouldn't call it traumatic. No, I wouldn't call it traumatic. How do illegal Middle Easterns get over the ocean to this side of the world? A couple of ways. One of the ways to get a visa and overstay. Another thing that was happening during the Biden-Harris administration is people were flying from Africa, the Middle East, all over the world. They came to Colombia. The caravans would start in Colombia, and then they go up through South America. They go through the jungle, go up through Mexico, and come through the southern border because it was completely open. It was open for business. It was wide open. That's how.
Children would have to see things that they shouldn't have to see. And all of this for political theater so that we look tough on immigration for everyone. It's a.
I know I keep stopping it, but this is so frustrating. Guys, please hit the like button if you're just now coming in. It's political theater to conduct a mission where you can detain and prosecute gang members that have taken over an American apartment complex. Why do they keep downplaying the severity of that as if there are no consequences to that? What do you think gang members come over here to do? Do you think they're coming over here and working white collar jobs or even doing blue collar construction jobs and they're law abiding? If they were like, first of all, they broke the law by coming over here illegally, but that's not what they're over here to do. They're over here to extract as much wealth as possible from the United States and the American people. They're not over here to go work on anybody's jobs. And not only do they steal, and not only do they do things like kidnapping, organ selling, taking over apartment complexes, and then demanding that the owners of the apartment complex split rent or pay them a percentage. Not only do they do stuff like that, but they exploit their own people, right? They're put in place so that they can watch other immigrants from their country. So they have law, for the most part, even though they came over here illegally, you could have a law-abiding illegal immigrant from their country, and what they do is they basically make human slaves of them. You have to give me your percentage of your paycheck every time you get your paycheck from work. or else we're gonna unalive your family here, or we're gonna unalive your family back home. That is how this goes. Why are these people so naive?
Horror show. And I do think if it hasn't already happened, that it'll be something that even the most conservative of Americans will get tired of seeing human beings treated this way. At least that's my hope.
You know,
Sir, that is your hope, but honestly, most people who are voting conservative are not as detached from reality as you are. The reality of the matter is, I'm willing for these children to have to deal with being temporarily detained while ICE agents conduct their operations. That way, here's the thing, that keeps them out of harm's way. That way they don't have to deal with any type of unfriendly fire or being in the wrong place or at the wrong time or running into a bullet. So yes, I'm absolutely here for them doing that. Okay. This is so sad. And the reality of the matter is, in Black neighborhoods, even before Tren de Agua came, we're already dealing with our own YNs. We're already dealing with our own young men who want to terrorize the community. It's just the reality of the matter. We're already dealing with higher levels of crime than the rest of the United States. Why should we have to deal with gangs from other countries? Why should Black people be expected to deal with that just because you have these tender, I can't even say it, just because you have these spineless, no backbone having men like this who get overly emotional because they heard some kids got detained, as if they didn't get let go. That's what I'm saying. We're too soft. We're too soft in the United States.
this is unfortunate, and this is what I mean by you guys got to get off the Democrat plantation. They have no conversation or smoke for Brandon Johnson or any of these people that actually put all of these gang members and Venezuelan gang members that destroyed, tore up, and absolutely take over that apartment building and the neighborhood. So the reason why you don't see these happening in the more prestigious neighborhoods is because that's not where they put the illegal migrants. They put the illegal migrants in the hood and in places that were predominantly Black. And that's the thing that Black people have been complaining about. And if you actually look at the videos of the people that are on the ground, they're happy. And they can't even fully admit that they're happy that the Trump administration sent ICE agents to get these people up out of there. They are happy about the fact that they removed those people from the building. Now,
Remember, I showed y'all that video. It's up here on my channel for anybody who wants to go see. That city council meeting, and that Black woman stood up and said, Tom Homan, you come get this N-word first. She was talking about Mayor Brandon Johnson. She sure did. A Black woman said it. Matter of fact, it was nothing but Black people in that particular meeting, but I've also seen other city council meetings in Chicago where you have other legal immigrants of other racial demographics who were like, please get these people out of our community. We're tired of it. I wish all these people sitting on the CNN panel could get dropped off in the middle of a Tren de Agua encampment in South America. Drop them off there. Because that's how they expect American citizens to live. That's how they expect the rest of us to live. So I want these people, especially these news anchors who are making millions of dollars, to give these type of opinions. I want you to get dropped off in South America in the middle of a Tren de Agua encampment. And if you survive, I want you to come back and let's see if you change your tune.
Now, when it comes to the arrests, all of those people were let go and released, but they had to find out who was who. But the fact of the matter is, they actually cleaned up the community in one day in that particular space. The thing that everybody is happy about and all Black people are saying, people like him that don't know, is this. And this, again, this is why you guys have to get off the Democrat plantation, because they are fooling y'all. They tricking y'all. They trying to make it seem like, oh my God, even the most conservative of people. No, this is race baiting. This is them continuing to advocate for people that are not supposed to be in this country, terrorizing y'all communities. And this is failed leadership that's being exposed, but they trying to spin it in order to keep their shirt. This is bad.
Jamal says, how do broke migrant gangs have it like that? They're not broke. That's the point of them being a gang. They're not broke. First of all, they work internationally. That's another thing. So Tren de Aragua operates in Venezuela. It operates in Colombia. It operates in Peru and other parts of South America. So when all you have to do all day is steal, you accumulate some wealth. Furthermore, when you do business with the cartel, you have to understand the whole reason why illegal immigration was able to happen here in the United States is because it was a big business. So when you are selling organs on the black market, that you accumulate quite a bit of money. When you do, and when you engage in human trafficking, it's not free. You are receiving money for those girl services or those boy services, right? Just for people to pass through your territory on their way up through the southern border, they have to pay tolls. See, this is another thing that I've explained to you. You could not come up through the southern border of the United States this past 4 years and you don't have any money. Do you know what happens to you if you try to cross the southern border of the United States illegally and you cross into gang territory and you can't pay your fees? You get unalived right where you're at. Or you can allow them to rape your children, or you can sell a kid into the sex trafficking ring. Pick your poison or what you want to do.
Bad, bro.
The one neighbor said the kids were crying. They looked very odd. I was out there crying when I seen the little girl come around the corner because they were bringing kids down too, had them zip tied to each other, saying that there were trucks, military-style vans used to separate adults from kids. What's going on?
I haven't seen any of this, so I certainly am not aware of particular neighborhoods that are targeted. Obviously, I support them finding and arresting people who are here illegally. And in the community they're in, again, I can't justify, I haven't seen which communities that they're targeting.
Well, one detail that's been left out is that they were targeting Tren de Aragua. And so Tren de Aragua is a violent trans.
I'm glad he brought that up because, again, Abby Phillips, and not just Abby Phillips, the other man that's on there, Black people will intentionally leave, and liberals will intentionally leave details like that out to make it seem like the United States government is intentionally targeting Black people specifically because they want to play off of this fear that that we will be put into slavery again. You know, before Donald Trump leaves office, we are said to be at risk of being put into slavery. That is the goal, to put us back into slavery. It makes absolutely no sense. Even if they wanted to do that, they have no need for it. I mean, hell, people can't even get a job. They don't even have a need for paid labor at this point, right? There is no need for economic slavery here in the United States. We wouldn't even have a system that could support it, right? Furthermore, there's just no evidence that that's going to happen. So this is all to get an emotional reaction out of Black people.
National gang. They send illegal immigrants here to the United States. They traffic drugs. They traffic people. They commit violence. They inflict misery everywhere they go. And 37 people were arrested. That was the purpose of the raid. The targeting of Tren de Aragua, some of the most violent people in our hemisphere. And when they come here, nothing good happens. That was
okay. So if it was targeting, I don't think anybody has a problem with targeting. Right. When you clear out an apartment building and you zip tie children and you arrest and detain everyone. Scott, hold on, Scott. You and me, we're talking here. Okay. If they arrest children, they arrest.
Scott is the only logical person that is on this panel. He is the person that is carrying CNN on his back with these conversations. And I'm not sure if his back is hurting, if his knees is hurting or what, but it seems like he's the only logical person that have conversations over at CNN.
Arrest everyone, citizens and non-citizens, for hours, detain them, deprive them of their liberty for no matter how long. You are fine with that.
They didn't arrest children, but
I didn't say they arrested them. They put them in zip ties. But if that makes a difference to you, go ahead.
Abby Phillips, it actually does make a difference because the purpose of why they are being detained is important. They didn't arrest these children and accuse them of doing anything they didn't do. But let's be very clear. Guys, I need to get my charger. Hold on 1 second. Okay, so I said this before. I'm going to say it again for those of y'all who are just now tuning in. Please hit the like button. Come on. 1 second. Okay, the reason why they detained everybody is because they are conducting a military operation in a 5-story apartment complex. They don't know who is who. Now, Democrats want to talk about racial discrimination all the time. Tren de Aragua is a Venezuelan gang. First of all, let me say this. Just because there are Black people in the apartment complex doesn't mean that they're Black Americans. If you've ever seen Venezuela, and if you've been to the coast of Venezuela, they have Black people. They have Black people who look just like Black people in the United States, look like us, wear our same hairstyle. They have slavery in Venezuela. They have quite a few Black people who, if they don't talk or open their mouth, you cannot distinguish between them and an African American from the United States. You cannot look at somebody, if you're going into an apartment complex, you cannot look at them and visibly see which ones are Black and Venezuelan. So Democrats want to talk about racial profiling all the time, but don't understand why you had to indiscriminately detain people in this situation. You cannot look at somebody and tell just by looking at them whether or not they are a citizen or an illegal immigrant. Furthermore, how gangs work is they recruit children. So you cannot see a child and assume that they are not going to harm you or try to stunt your operation just because they are a child. It don't work like that. So you have to secure that vicinity. You have to view everybody as somebody that could do potential harm to you. That's how that goes, ma'am. And I wish these people would go do military operations or maybe serve on ICE, the police force, something so that they can understand this. Because right now she's making an emotional argument when these ICE agents have an obligation to first make sure that they go home alive to their families, first and foremost, and that they conduct a successful operation the best that they can.
Here's what makes a difference to me. If the federal government knows that there is a nest of Tren de Aragua in a city like Chicago, they have a responsibility. They have an obligation to go get them. It is unfortunate, to answer your question, that there are children put in harm's way by these violent gangs. But that is going to be the reality.
Or is it unfortunate, or is it a violation of their rights, is the question. Because, I mean, in this country, we have rights against searches and illegal
you're suggesting
searches
these children should be effectively human shields for Tren de Aragua, and I don't agree.
What I'm asking, hold on, I want to make it clear. I know that Tren de Aragua and gangs and whatever, it's a catch-all to treat people however you want, to go in there and shred the Constitution or whatever else it is that you want to do. What I'm asking you is this. Do you think that children should have been zip-tied and pulled out of an apartment complex and traumatized like that? Yes or no?
I don't think children should be put in harm's way by transnational gangs.
Just answer the question. Yes or no? Do you think that children?
I don't accept the premise of your question.
I'm asking
the
you
government's not
whether or
putting
not,
children in harm's way. Trinidad Aragua.
Real calm now.
It couldn't have been me on a CNN panel. See, Scott is smart because he doesn't want to give them the soundbite that they're looking for, right? So he's saying, I don't accept the premise of your question. But the answer is that for me, yes, that is absolutely perfectly acceptable to detain children when you are trying to apprehend an apartment complex full of, what did he say, 36, 37 gang members. That's no small amount. Absolutely. It is okay. They are not going to, they didn't get unalived. They didn't get hurt. They got to go home to their parents. They stayed out the way. They didn't get caught in any type of crossfire. We didn't have them running all over the building, trying to get back in the building, putting themselves in harm's way. Absolutely. Next question. I feel like this is how we need to start dealing with these kind of folks that ask stupid questions like that.
Real calm. Like
They're the ones putting children in harm's way.
Gentlemen and gentlemen, we have a responsibility for the way we treat people with the power that we have here in America.
Which is why those children should have never been subjected to the fact that illegal migrants was placed into their neighborhoods in Chicago, and the police and the mayor knew about it and they did nothing, but they let them suffer. And so
real talk, I used to live in the hood. What I'm about to say is going to be real uncouth, but it's going to be the absolute truth. I used to live in a hood. I used to live in a neighborhood with a whole bunch of, and again, this could happen with like illegal immigrants and legal U.S. citizens, but in some cultures more than others, it is acceptable to sleep with very young girls. It's like culturally acceptable. It is. I know a lot of y'all don't want to hear this. That's why in certain cultures, when the girl turned 15 or as soon as she get hair down there, they talk about she's a woman. It is what it is. So like, I used to live in a hood. Do y'all know how many of them girls was getting touched or having relationships in that apartment complex with grown men? I'm pretty sure a lot of those men in that apartment complex were having relationships with other underage girls that lived in that apartment complex. I don't care who gets mad about it. I lived in the hood. I know what goes on. That's all I'm going to say. I love how Dems are so serious about civil liberties, especially when a Republican is in office. Yeah, because they didn't give a damn about civil liberties when that Rona was going around and the rest of us were saying we didn't want to put that stuff in our bodies. They didn't care then. They didn't care about people losing their jobs. See, now all of a sudden, they hate these government layoffs that are happening because of budgetary reasons, to be honest, right? And again, I never applaud anybody losing their jobs. In an ideal world for me, everybody could keep their government job, right? But like, they didn't care when people were losing their jobs because they didn't want to inject themselves with an experimental drug. Bob Bergman. Okay, let's zip tie all children. Is that what I said? Is that what I said, Bob? That's the conclusion that you came to after listening to me? Because I've been on here now talking for 48 minutes, and the conclusion that you came to is that we should just zip tie all children. That's the conclusion that you came to? Okay. You want to see the Dems not care about kids being detained? Bring back the original deporter-in-chief and watch how fast they say F them kids. These children weren't even an afterthought when Obama was in office. Like, they did not care. Matter of fact, they don't care about the fact that all those children got smuggled across the southern border these past 4 years. They don't care about the 500,000 children that went missing. I was talking about it during the Biden-Harris administration. I was talking about it. As soon as I found out, I talked about it. I continue to talk about it. They don't care. But they're over here crying boo-hoo tears because some kids got detained for a temporary period of time and were released back to their parents so that ICE could conduct an operation to secure the neighborhood. It's absurd.
The federal government actually freed those children from the tyranny of what was happening inside of Chicago neighborhoods, but it'll never go appreciated because they always try to lean on one little small talking point and try to justify their argument that drugs, gangs, and illegal migrants are supposed to still be inside of your neighborhoods. These are the people that are y'all leaders.
And we have a standard that we should treat human life with. And I'm asking you very clearly, concisely, should children be treated that way? Does Scott Jennings like that?
I don't accept the premise of your question.
All right, cool.
I don't believe that the premise of your question is accurate. I would ask you back. Should children be allowed to live in an apartment building with Trinidad Aragua? Should the entire community of Chicago have to live with Trinidad Aragua because they hide behind these children?
But here's the thing.
That's my
I
question.
think the answer to that is clear. No, they should not be put in harm's way. But the difference is in this situation is I don't want to be Trinidad Aragua. I don't want my law enforcement to act like Trinidad Aragua.
Ma'am, first of all, this woman, this was like a month ago, maybe 2 months ago. I watched her on here go on an entirely racist tirade where she was saying that all her life she had to be better than white people. She had to work 10 times harder and be 10 times smarter. And then she proceeded to give the dumbest commentary that I've ever heard. And I'm like, ma'am, that is so embarrassing. If you were going to sit in white people's face and tell them that they're 10 times smarter than them, you could at least actually say something that sounds like you're 10 times smarter than them. Like, why would you say that you had to work 10 times harder and then this is the best that you could come up with? It's a self-own. Like the bar is in hell at that point if you are the product of working 10 times harder. Now, she is going to prove everything I just said. Let me be quiet.
That is the distinction.
You don't want to leave it? Do you just want to leave it and say, well, they have kids in there, let's just move on?
No, but can't law enforcement figure out a way? I don't think this is the first time children have been in an environment where dangerous people have been around them. And I'm most certain that in most of those circumstances, those children aren't zip tied and carried out like animals. What I am wondering is, okay, let's put this fact pattern on any other placement. Let's put it on a school, right? What if there was a gang member in a school? And by this calculation, it would seem like the children in the school, in order to get that one gang member or two gang members, would get.
It's not one gang member. It's 37
well,
people.
let's say there's
Scott, it's a large apartment building.
That's the point. It's a large apartment complex. There are a lot of gang members in there. That's the point of detaining people. You don't know who is involved in what. And here's the thing, if ICE would have went in there and they were like, okay, we're gonna like leave the children where they're at. And we're going to like just go in and run up in these apartments where we think, we don't really know, but we think that these Trinidad Aragua members are. If there would have been any type of crossfire and children would have been unalived, you better believe they would have been on here like losing their minds. See, ICE is causing the death of young Black children. They indiscriminately are unaliving our Black children. They would have been crying even harder. And you know what? If that would have happened, I would have been criticizing them as well, because how are you so sloppy? I also think that these people expect ICE to announce to the criminals, hey, we're coming in here. So anybody who is a U.S. citizen, go ahead and leave right now, gather your things, leave. We know that you gang members are going to follow the honor system and you're going to stay in there and you're going to let us come get you. That is what these people expect to happen. Matter of fact, they expect ICE to walk down the street in these neighborhoods and say, come out, wherever you are. And they expect all the gang members to just come outside and give themselves up willingly. This is what they expect. Because remember, you can't arrest them at the grocery store. You can't arrest them at school. Oh no, that's a violation of their human rights. So you can't arrest them anywhere, and you can't conduct military operations. You can't secure the environment there. You can't do anything. The fact of the matter is, these people do not care whether or not this was a gang. They do not care that these immigrants were committing crimes and terrorizing their environments. They do not care as long as illegal immigrants are allowed to stay in the United States. They don't care about the American citizens, and they don't care about American people, and they really don't care about American children. Their number one priority is fighting for the right of illegal immigrants to stay in the United States. And that's just the fact of the matter.
It's part of the fact pattern here. I mean, here's another one from our reporting. Tenants.
Why are they trying to convince Scott while not addressing the issue that you got illegal migrants inside of the neighborhoods in Chicago?
Said it appears everyone in the building was detained by federal officers, including U.S. citizens. It was scary, said one, because I had never had a gun in my face. That person lives in the building. They asked my name and my date of birth and asked me, did I have any warrants? I told them, no, I didn't. Fisher, this person says, she was handcuffed anyway before being released around 3 a.m. and was told anyone with outstanding warrants, even if it was unrelated to immigration, would not be released. So in the, again,
Please,
like
seriously,
people live in apartment buildings all over this country.
I promise that.
Is that where
Hold on, wait a second.
Should I just go to an apartment building and hide?
Wait. I'm talking about the way that citizen of this country was treated. By the way, I just want to be clear. I think that everybody that's created in the image of God should be treated with respect. And I thought that part of the American ideal was that, but that's gone. I promise y'all will still be invited to Mar-a-Lago if you say that it is wrong.
I can't, bro. I just can't. I can't, bro. These, no matter how much they talk about me, no matter how much they try to make it seem like that.
Enforcing the law is not disrespecting somebody. I was watching this video on LV Nation's channel. Lou had it, and protesters opened fire on an ICE facility, and the ICE agent literally risked his life to move the illegal immigrants into another room as they were firing into the building. Okay, he risked his life. But at the end of the day, we have laws in this country. We have laws in this country. It is not disrespectful to enforce the law. It is not disrespectful to detain anyone so that you can secure a mission. They got let go.
That I am against Black people and the Black community and all of that. You're never going to convince me that I'm not saying the right thing. I'm not standing up for American values, and that I don't have Black people's best interests at heart by accountability and advocating for people to get off this fucking plantation that continues to pollute our communities and our neighborhoods. And the minute that we start taking ownership and responsibility for what we voted for and how we continue to advocate for the worst for our community, I'm gonna continue to stand on my square until the end of time. Let me know what y'all think inside of the comments. Make sure.
I mean, it's just crazy. And just notice the entire time they were genuinely more appalled by the children being detained than the fact that these children had to live with gang members. They were genuinely more appalled with that. And like the only reason why that other anchor conceded that it was wrong and that that shouldn't be happening is because she still wanted to make a point that, oh, but there's a better way to do it. They genuinely could not have cared less. They could not have cared less. And the dude that was on there talking about American rights and values, sir, that is very fragile. That's what you don't understand. And when you have to live around gang members, they don't care about your right to live. I was watching President Bukele. Let me see if I saved it. Let me go see. I'm going to show this to y'all. I was watching President Bukele give a speech on immigration. And for those of y'all who don't know who President Bukele is, he is the president of El Salvador. And he was saying, like, y'all will defend the right all the time. Y'all will defend the human rights of criminals. But what about the human right of a mother to go to the park without fear of her children getting unalived, or without fear of your organs being sold on the black market, or without fear of getting kidnapped? What about our right to that? What about our right to live safely? Now, people don't care about that. What these people want to do is they want to tie the hands of law enforcement behind their back and make it impossible for them to do their job. They want to basically render them ineffective. Okay, guys, please hit the like button if you're just now coming in. I'm going to make my way over to Fox. Give me 1 second. It's just really sad, honestly and truly. And again, I'm saying this as somebody who, a lot of people that used to talk to me or used to be friends with me, they don't talk to me or they're not friends with me anymore over my views that I had in behind these type of topics. But it's like, I honestly don't care. Like, you can call me anti-Black all you want to. The fact of the matter is, people in poor communities, which happen to be a lot of the times Black people and Hispanic people that are here legally, like, they have to suffer the consequences of this type of stuff more than anybody else. But nobody should have to deal with it.
This is your brain when you're struggling to focus. And this is your brain when you're in the zone. But getting in the zone and staying there, that feels more like luck than something you can control.
Completely delusional right now. And what they are promulgating in this particular moment.
Increase your profit and work less time with Kittl, a genius new AI tool which is perfect for print.
Yeah, and we're talking about the chaos that is broken out in Portland, Oregon, and in Chicago. The split screen you see here, the absolute violent assaults and riots happening as the governor of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker, saying, I want to be clear, there is no need for military troops on the ground in the state of Illinois. Go out to Portland, Oregon, the same exact thing you're seeing there, the same violence in the streets, more than 100 days of violent assaults on the ICE facility in Portland, as the attorney general there in Portland says that Portland is not the president's war-torn fantasy. Our city is not ravaged, and there's no rebellion. Joining us now, DHS Secretary Kristi Noem. Madam Secretary, we just showed our viewers exactly the reality of what's playing out, and then the rhetoric of the Democratic leaders, and it seems to tell two different stories.
Yes, I've encouraged the governor of Oregon and of Illinois, and that attorney general should go down and spend some time with our ICE officers and with our Border Patrol officers and encounter the protesters that they do, because these individuals are shouting hateful things at them, threatening their family.
Tyler Oliveira, he's a huge YouTuber. He goes on the ground, kind of like how Nick Shirley did. He went to Portland, Oregon, and I was like, this looks like a complete hellhole. Like, this is supposed to be some beacon of progressive society. And I'm like, this is terrible. I would not want to live. Honestly, truly, guys, I don't think of too many places You know, I left Texas, but I'm like, and I left Texas because it was just getting way too expensive. But compared to the rest of the country, it's still pretty affordable. But like, if I had to come back, I wouldn't want to live in any of those liberal cities. Like, I would, if I moved back to the United States, I would move back to either Texas or Miami or something like that. I definitely wouldn't move to any liberal city. Greetings, hey, what's up, Chavis? Greetings, Mariah, and everyone here. I hope all is well. The wild thing is the liberal blacks are saying to be part of the groupthink, a home community is to be one half. Yeah, I mean, they've conflated liberalism, being a liberal Democrat, with the black identity. Like, they go hand in hand. Pro-chaos, anti-order, anti-cop, pro-criminal, anti-education, pro-destructive music like Sexy Red, Cardi B, and Megan Thee Stallion. Exactly. Basically, they associate Black culture with supporting degeneracy, disorder, and undisciplined life, and no accountability. And if you don't stand for those, if you stand for all of that, they will praise you, they will hoop and holler for you, they'll clap for you. The minute you become disciplined, the minute that you become self-accountable, and the minute that you start holding other Black people accountable, your phone dries up real quick. Nobody wants to talk to you. Nobody wants to call you. They don't want to hang out anymore. They ignoring what you're doing, all of that. If you're acting like a ghetto bird, they love you.
Putting their hands on them, and acts of violence are occurring on a regular basis. So they're just sitting far away in safe facilities, some of them with protective detail, which is a very different situation than trying to clean up the streets and help protect the families and the victims of these criminals that have been roaming for far too long.
So during the break, you told us that there are actually some individual agents who have been identified and have bounties placed on their heads. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we had a really strange incident yesterday where we had a caravan of 10 different vehicles that were following our Border Patrol agents and officers that were out there on the streets of Chicago. And they had followed them and gotten them cornered, pinned them down. And then our agents, when getting out of their cars, they tried to run them over and had semi-automatic handguns on them, to where our agents had to protect themselves, and shots were fired, and an individual ended up in the hospital that was attacking these officers. Very dangerous situation. And then in that situation as well, this individual had threatened them previously and had told them that they all needed to go down, and shouted expletives at them. So our intelligence indicates that these
See, but how that would be told is that they're attacking U.S. citizens. You know what? When I think about the American Revolution, and I love America, don't get me wrong, but when I think about what happened at the Boston Massacre, do y'all remember how we're told that? So we're told that the protesters threw rocks. They threw rocks at these soldiers, and that the soldiers were wrong for shooting them. Okay, that they were wrong for that. But my whole thing is, a rock is a lethal weapon. And that's what a lot of these protesters are doing. If you hit somebody with a rock and it hits them hard enough in the wrong way, they can die. So to act like that is not what initiated the force is crazy. So when people are ramming their cars into ICE agents, throwing rocks at their ICE agents, hurling projectiles and Molotov cocktails, in my opinion, that is where the lethal force began. And you are lucky that they show restraint and try to use rubber bullets. But like, let's be clear, you're putting their lives in harm when you do things like that. You are inflicting potentially lethal force. You throw a Molotov cocktail on them, they can catch fire. Boom, you can die from burns. That is not okay. That is not something that should be met with light force. And honestly and truly, if people understood that, they would stop doing it. If somebody knew the cost of me hurling a brick at ICE is that I could get unalived in the street, that gives them permission to open fire on me, they would stop doing it. Now, I'm not saying they should do it, but like they don't deal with that as severely as they need to. They would be the same who crucified Jesus and free barbers. You know what? Barabbas, I'm sorry. You know what, Chavis? I was thinking about that because Charlie Kirk didn't say anything that Jesus wouldn't say. And the way they crucified Charlie Kirk the whole time, I was like, yeah, they definitely would have hated Jesus. They would have hated it. Because see, Jesus, he wouldn't allow them to sit up in their misery and excuses for the rest of their lives. He would check that victim mindset.
People are organized. They're getting more and more people on their team as far as attacking officers, and they're making plans to ambush them and to kill them. We have specific officers and agents that have bounties that have been put out on their heads. It's been $2,000 to kidnap them, $10,000 to kill them. They've released their pictures. They've sent them between their networks, and it's an extremely dangerous situation and unprecedented. So
And this is why, when they're like, well, why are you not showing your face, you cowards? And it's like, because y'all are nutty, because you're crazy. That's why. And it's so ironic because Antifa will say this and then show up to the protest, hurling bricks, Molotov cocktails, and screaming obscenities, and have a mask covering their face as well. Only you're breaking the law.
we've put protective detail around those individuals, changed some of our operations to keep our officers safe. But make no mistake, this isn't just about, protesting free speech or that they don't like that people out here are upholding the law of our country. They're actually going out there and saying, kill these people and we'll give you this much money to do it.
Well, and Secretary, I want to stay on the bounties. Who is issuing the bounties? I know that you guys are looking into groups like Antifa. Is it linked to that, or who is issuing these bounties? What do we know right now?
Well, I'm going to be careful what I say because we have investigations going on and these threats are out there. So I'm not going to give you specific officers, although they have been targeted towards specific officers and released their phone numbers or released their pictures. But it is gangs, it is cartel members, and known terrorist organizations. So foreign terrorist organizations as deemed by the president, but also ones that we have known for many, many years. And they are making sure that they know which officers are out there and being extremely effective, and they want to take them down because they want to try to stop the operations that are going that are keeping them from making money off their criminal networks.
Do you have any evidence that those same cartels are actually helping fund some of the protests themselves in terms of turning people out?
Well, we've been spending a lot of time working as a whole of government approach. And so talked to Scott Bessent about this last night, and he's really helping us dig into the funding of these operations, where they're getting their
I mean, she can't say much, so there's no sense that he even asked. Like, to me, those type of questions are stupid. She can't say much, so there's no point in even asking that. But honestly and truly, the cartels are not happy. It's been put out there in the wind that Donald Trump is looking to go to Congress asking for an official declaration of war on the cartels, which is another reason why it is important for ICE to move as quickly as possible to expel any type of sleeper cells or these large enclaves of gang members who could be called to do terrorism in the United States on our own soil. Y'all have to understand, during the Biden-Harris administration, a lot of people were allowed to run up in here free of a background check. We don't know who is up in here. So they best move quickly and fastly if they are going to make an official declaration of war on the cartels, because the fact of the matter is there are enough already in our country to rain down terror on the American people if they want to. So if that's the move they're going to make, then yeah, they need to be conducting these operations as quickly and as swiftly as possible, because y'all have to understand the economy is bad, just not in the United States. It is bad everywhere. Donald Trump has cut off a large amount of money. There's no other market like the American market for drugs, for human smuggling, and trafficking. Same way that we consume the most things around the world, and that's why Donald Trump leverages the fact that we have the biggest consumer base in terms of what we're willing to spend, in terms of vices, illicit substances, in terms of human trafficking. The United States also consumes that the most. Does the cartel make money from other countries? Yes. Yes, but when they're scared to leave the coast out of fear of getting their ships blown out the water, then they have a problem. So not only has the human trafficking across the southern border and the drug smuggling stopped, but now they are being engaged in the open sea. Conflict is a brewing. This is only when he said he was going to go to war with the cartels, he meant that. He meant that. Let's see what y'all are saying. They are not winning a war against the cartel. Why? Why can't they? Why can't they? President Bukele won it in his country. See, everybody acting like these people can't be stopped. What you have to understand is they get their weapons from the United States. So we're not supplying them with weapons anymore. Do they still have weapons? Yes. But they're largely dependent on the United States for many things, and they've been cut off. They've been cut off. So all of this, we can't stop them. Why? President Bukele stopped them in his country. He got his homicide rate down to a 0% homicide rate. Through all of them, it's the coke. So why can't it be done? Why? I think with this president, anything we want to do is possible. People need a lot of things. People in hell need ice water. That's not any reason for us to not be able to, at the very least, get a handle on the cartels. But here's the thing. Donald Trump is thinking long term, because a huge part of the reason why these people were able to get smuggled across the border like that is because the reason why this happened is because of the cartels and because of their reach into our government. Let's be clear, there are people in the United States government right now working with the cartels. El Chapo's son came in here and did a lot of snitching. Okay. So like, Donald Trump doesn't want to do all this work for the next 4 years. And then in another 4 years or 8 years, a Democrat get in office and boom, borders wide open, same problems existing. And opium. Yeah. But, guys, I'm going to go take my daughter to the park. I've been on here for quite some time. I just wanted to come on here and talk to y'all. I said I'm going to try to get on here at least once every day. Y'all, please hit the like button and share my content if you care. Thank y'all, everybody, for participating in the chat. If you are interested in life coaching, for those of y'all who don't know, I am a life coach. I help people do things like goal set, lose weight. I've lost quite a bit of weight myself. If you are interested in doing a sabbatical abroad, I can help you plan for that. So if you are interested in that, go to ThePassportSis.com and you can book a coaching session. That's where you need to go if you are interested in that. All right. You have a blessed day too. Bye, Mark. Bye, Jamal. Bye, Tavis. I will see y'all tomorrow. Thank you. You stay blessed as well.